a mother and daughter collaboration. Welcome to Incubate To Thrive, the podcast that dives deep into the art of thriving in relationships, with a special focus on the unique bond between mothers and daughters. Join our host, Erica Kesse, licensed professional counselor, certified positive intelligence coach, speaker, and author of Honey, You Need Counseling Skills, and Be On Top, along with her daughter, Chrys Callaway, speaker and storyteller, as they share their journey of pain, triumph, and personal growth. In this empowering and insightful podcast, Chrys and Erica explore the keys of flourishing relationships, emphasizing the importance of individual thriving as the foundation. Drawing from their own experiences, they unveil the Thrive Plan and the philosophy of Be On Top, the Try-On philosophy. This philosophy is enriched with the tenets of READ, R-E-A-D, relationship, exposure, alignment, do no harm, and incorporates essential counseling skills such as vision casting, mission creation, time management, communication, and Thrive planning.
But that's not all. The dynamic duo introduces fusion, a transformative approach to relationships encompassing friendship, understanding, social support, inspiration, outings, and nourishment. Through engaging conversations, real-life stories, and expert insight, Incubate To Thrive aims to foster a community of growth, resilience, and connection. Tune in to discover how you can nurture and strengthen your relationships and watch them thrive, whether with your mother, daughter, or anyone in your life. Join Erica and Chrys on this journey of personal development, connection, and the pursuit of thriving. It's time to incubate your relationships and watch them thrive. Come listen in and offer your feedback and contribution. And don't forget to subscribe.
Yes. We are so excited today to come and talk with you all.
And today we are going to be doing the episode of Season 1, Episode 2, which talks about the Thrive Plan Overview.
Yes, the Thrive Plan Overview. Okay. So,
I know this story so well, I could share it with you well.
Okay, maybe you should. Yeah, tell the story. Tell the story of the Thrive Plan. So, let me just tell them what it is. Okay. So, the Thrive Plan is a personalized and strategic plan. It is a self-awareness assessment and operating system for individuals to be able to plan their thriving. We have a plan for everything, but we usually don't have a plan for our thriving. So that's what the Thrive Plan is. And you can get your copy by going to bit.ly/your Thrive Plan. That's bit.ly/your Thrive Plan. So, Chrys, since you've heard the story so much, tell the story. Tell the story about how and why the Thrive Plan was created.
And I'll say it with gusto. The Thrive Plan was created by my dear mother as she lost her child. And no one around her understood pain. And she lost everyone. They was gone from her life. And so, in the midst of it all, she was like, I do not want to exist anymore. Now that's different from being suicidal, y'all. And so she was like, okay, well, as a licensed professional therapist and counselor, I need to safety plan myself. And it was like, a safety plan is who you give to people who are suicidal. But she was like, wait, I don't need to safety plan myself. Because there should be a plan before I get to the safety plan.
Yes.
And that is where the Thrive Plan was born.
That's
and
correct.
The Thrive Plan, it helps you understand your trauma responses, your triggers, your social support system. It helps you understand a lot.
Yes. Okay. You did a great job with my story. Yeah, you all, it was a very tough time. But
she even lost me. I got sent away, but that's okay because I came back. And right. I'm not leaving you.
So yeah, that's the story. It was a tough time, but as conflict happens in your life, right? And when conflict happens,
you can't see it as a bad thing.
Yes. You can find a gift. Yeah, you can find a gift. Now, you may not in that moment be able to find the gift, but maybe after a while you could find the gift. And there's 3 gifts that can be received, right? The gift of knowledge. So I learned about who was around me. I learned about my social support system and how they actually were not serving me. I didn't have reciprocity in my life. I then got the gift of power, where I gave myself power from the situation, even though I lost a baby, even though everybody in my life, could not be there for me. I found my power and I said to myself, let me safety plan myself. And then while I was working on being powerful and trying to, just kind of get myself together, I found the inspiration of, like Chrys said, what if I create something that will allow me to thrive? And so I will never go through this kind of situation again. A safety plan, that's what we give to people who are suicidal if they lost their will to live. But that is reactionary. What about being preventative in our life? What about setting up a plan?
Not having to get to that point.
Yes. And so that's what the Thrive Plan does. It catches as soon as there's a trauma response, as soon as there's a conflict, you are then learning an operating system to take yourself into coping and soothing yourself.
And if you are like suicidal or you've lost your will to live, it helps you recognize what you have to live for.
Yes, because one of the things that is next is a lot of times people, when you ask people, what's the reason for you to still be here, right? It usually is another person. For example, of course, one of the reasons that I wanted to continue to live here and to be here, even though I was not suicidal, I had lost my will to live, but I kept on moving in my life because I had my baby, I had my child, and I needed to continue to be there for her. Because it wasn't like she decided to come into the world. It was I brought her here. It's my responsibility to, be here for her. That's just my thought process on it. So,
with like you wanting, so with people having someone to live for, there also comes the point where you need to learn to live for yourself.
Speak.
Yeah.
Speak. Yeah, you're right.
And within
it's about
conflict,
living for yourself. Yeah.
If you lose people, you slowly start to piece together how important yourself you are, so you can live for yourself.
Yeah, because going back, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because the people who I had in my life, I was the strong friend. I was the one that
had plans for days.
Had plans for them. Checked on them, watched for them, cared for them, and it wasn't that they did the same for me.
They couldn't do the same for you.
I don't think that going back, something that's important to say is a lot of times people may say these kind of things, but I created this circumstance.
Yeah.
Because I was always the one who did not ask for anybody to help me. I was not the one that, I did not give them an opportunity. And then when I did give them the opportunity, they fell short because they did not know how to do it. They did not have the capacity and the capability
to do it.
Because if they're accustomed to someone who does not require that, then they're never going to be able to offer that. So that goes back to us and what we're doing here in thriving relationships. You also got to check yourself to know, how are you coming off? Like, are you allowing people to for you to have a thriving relationship with this person?
Yeah.
Are you allowing are you going to be the one that, does it all? Or are you going to have an expectation that people around you also are there for you?
And in this series, we're going to keep going back to the whole self and you thing. Are you having a thriving relationship with yourself? Are you making sure that before any other relationship, you are thriving in your relationship with yourself?
And speaking of that, I have to say, when I go back and think about the me before I did the Thrive plan, no, I did not. I did not have a thriving relationship with myself. I had a thriving relationship with the people around me. I made sure everybody was good. I made sure that everybody was good. I ensured. And I, going back, it has something to do with how I was raised, the conditioning of, that's how it has been set up for me. I always thought that what I was supposed to do was serve others and be there for people. My mother even called me her slave. So, it was instilled in me to serve other people and not have any expectation that they would also provide for me. So I created this, I got the conditioning, but then I kept it going. So that's one thing that we have to do. That's one thing the Thrive Plan does, is help you to break free from the conditioning by saying, hey, I'm triggered. I'm traumatized. I have this response. I need to cope. So it stops you in the tracks of the conditioning that's so ingrained in you. What were you going to say?
Yeah, and this we've been talking about thriving. Like, we are going to be talking about thriving throughout this whole series, but
yeah.
With the Thrive Plan, let's go ahead right here, right now. What is thriving? Let's explain that. Okay. So for me, I'll go, like, my personal experience with thriving is...
Yeah, like we talked about last week, defining everything. So yes, explain it. How would you define thriving?
I would define thriving as, kind of goes back from my, like, what I think about the world, like how you live in the world. It goes from surviving to living to thriving. And I think, okay, well, that kind of applies to not just living in the world, but also just kind of living in yourself. And so thriving for me is realizing that you have the potential to do far greater, striving to do what you know you can, and you even have the thought process of, oh, this would be good for me to do. Go ahead and do that. And then being able to do it without even trying. It just
comes naturally.
Yes. That's thriving in my opinion. So, in my definition.
I love that definition.
And that's the definition. That's what I've gotten from being in a relationship with a person who's always thriving, aka you, who's still thriving in me. And I know I deserve nothing less than thriving.
Yes, you do. You deserve nothing less than that. Nothing less than that. And that's why we are here today, because it's Incubate to Thrive. Like, the goal and the intentionality of my life was to set up your existence. And that was before I had the Thrive Plan. I was very adamant about giving her everything and being intentional about giving her everything. And I'm happy what happened to me regarding about losing the child. It's because I thought that I was, because of not having that conflict. I thought that I was being very intentional with her care and making sure she had all the things, that means that she was very spoiled. That means taken care of well, but also a bit bratty.
Yes, because you raised me how you wish you would be raised.
Yes.
But I longed for structure.
Yes.
While you longed for freedom.
Yes.
Because your mother provided you so much structure that you wanted freedom.
Yes. Oh, actually, no. Let me be clear. She gave no freedom. No, sorry, no structure.
Oh.
I created my own structure in order to have order, because I needed to have some order in my life. She did not provide that for me. She actually was very passive. I controlled and was the chief operating officer in her home, but made me like hyper responsible to everybody else. And also for me also to be very responsible, which caused me not to be as free and playful and being and just being and enjoying and living in satisfaction. I would have to say I was very much got my satisfaction from helping others.
And I want to apologize.
Oh, that's fine.
No, I want to make sure that I apologize, because when I did not mean to assume anything, and I'm glad that you corrected me.
Oh, yeah.
Because even now, when I hear about your past, I knew there was structure, and I knew that you had put it in place. But I always assumed that there was at least a little bit of structure. But that's not what was happening.
No, there was no structure that was given to me by my mother.
Okay.
I created structure for the family.
Yeah.
I did that. Mm-hmm. And that's called being parentified. And I was not supposed to do that. Like, that was not my responsibility.
Yeah.
So with my daughter, I gave her structure, but I also, other than giving her structure, was like really gave her a lot of affection, because I was denied affection. Really gave her a lot of freedom, and really allowed her to kind of show up in a way that was what my inner child needed. I gave her what my inner child needed instead of giving her the raising that she needed for herself. Yeah. So incubating means that you are looking at that particular person and you're saying, this is what this person needs in order to grow and flourish and thrive. So I then needed to learn to give more not structure, but discipline.
And even with the discipline and the structure that I have, I am still free.
Yeah.
There is a balance between like freedom and how I show up, and then the structure that I have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's lots of communication between you and me about that. Like when things happen, we have a conversation.
And that reminds me of just a few days ago when I was not thriving in myself, and you told me, go take some days off. Go get yourself together. And I was like, because at
first she was mad.
I was so mad. And I was like, how dare you? And then I was like, oh, she's right. Sitting on this couch doing nothing feels good.
Yeah, because, okay, I have a vision. And in families, it's important to have a vision for your family. It's important to have a vision for yourself. We talked about vision casting in the introduction. And my business also has, a vision. And for me, it's like it spreads across everything.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to what we've been talking about with how things have happened and my vision is I will love and like myself so authentically and thoroughly
that you overflow onto those around you.
So let's break that down. That means that I have to give myself this first. I was not, before the Thrive Plan, giving myself love and like. I was not even considering myself. I was too busy considering everyone else and everything else. And being very intentional about everybody else and my relationship with them as they were not being as intentional with their relationship with me. People were reckless with me, right? And then when you are filled up, and that's what, and when Chrys was mentioning how she had to leave as well. Yes, there was a time that Chrys left and was with her father because I needed to take some time. I needed some time to be with myself and to give myself
Give
the
your
love.
inner child the love.
Give my inner child, yes. I needed to get in contact with my inner child. I needed to love and like myself and pour into myself so then I could show up and do no harm to her and anyone else around me. So, yeah.
And just going back for a quick second on that whole situation of being not thriving in myself. After that, I was intentional with how I acted right after that. When I got out of just kind of being, I was like, okay, so what haven't I done? I was like, okay, well, there's just some work I need to finish, but let's put that off to the side. What do I really need to do? Like self-care, mental health, all that I'm talking about. And I'm like, the first thing I need to do is communicate. Before anything else, communicate. So it's like, okay, let's do the list of who I need to communicate to. My soul. And it was basically communication in apologizing. Mm-hmm. Apologizing to myself for letting myself get into the hole of overworking and not taking care of myself like I was supposed to be doing. And apologizing to my parts for not letting them know what they could have done to help me out of this hole. Yeah. And then lastly, the final thing is apologizing to my mom, which I haven't done yet, and I'm going to do it right now. I am sorry that I did not come and communicate to you what I needed and declined your invitation to communicate when you confronted me about it. And I thank you for putting me out of work. And in the future, when I recognize that I need to have a conversation, because there are times when you don't recognize you need to have the conversation, the communication. When I recognize that I need to have the conversation, I will come to you and sit myself down and have a conversation.
Well, I am looking forward to that. And I want to say that, first of all, thank you so much for the apology. Mm-hmm. And again, thank you so much for the full apology.
Yeah.
And just to kind of walk you through what you just heard, a full apology includes saying what you did.
Yes.
Actually saying that you apologize for that thing that you did. Then what are you going to do
in the future
in order to fully apologize? Mm-hmm. And then the last step is for that person to actually have the expectation that you deliver on your apology.
But there's also giving the apology and meaning it.
Oh, of course.
Yes, but that's not something some people know how to do. You don't just give an apology. That's why full apologies are so important.
Yes, it is.
Because it shows you truly mean it.
Yes.
It shows that you will truly put the steps into action to make sure they see that you feel regret about doing that and know that you will fix it in the future.
Yes. Yes. It's just not lip service. It's just not. It actually means that you respect and also want to have a thriving relationship with another person. Yeah. And like I said, I appreciate that. And that apology. And Chrys and I, you're just getting an insider, view and hearing of
our relationship and how we interact
with each other. It really is a one that we work on, and we work on it.
Yeah.
Just like you have to be working on your relationships, and one way is to go back, and as we end our time to get together, just this episode is the Thrive Plan allows you to have a plan that you then share with your social support system person. And we're going to go through each part of the Thrive Plan to help people to really understand the bits of it. And because each one of these things are important to discuss, but it helps your social support system person to know how to not trigger you.
Oh, yeah.
Also, how to benefit you. What are the expectations in our relationship?
Yeah.
And them take ownership of your well-being by reminding you of what you say that you want to do to cope from it.
And even going as far as to see that you might mention something and then just getting on to you about it.
Yes. Not getting on to you. You're just kind of like, hey, you said you was going to do this, because you need that person. Like, we are each other's keeper, right? And I know I'm my daughter's keeper, but I feel that way about everybody who I interact with as a therapist, a coach, as a mentor, as a speaker. I think it's important for us to say what we need to say to each other so that we can be our best versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's been great. You all tune in next time for Incubate to Thrive. We are so excited that you were here for episode 2. And this was a mother and daughter collaboration.
Yeah.
And don't forget to
subscribe.
Bye.
Bye.